Hello, Guardians. Today is October 14th, 2022. My name's Dan Finity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. A lot has been going on this week, so we might as well hop into it. Bungie released hotfix 6.2.0.8, which was literally a test for the new hotfix delivery method on Tuesday. We are in the thickness of the back end of the Season of Plunder, with this week's final story mission taking place with a swashbuckling cutscene between Mithrax and Aramis to boot. I've really enjoyed the story this season for how deep it became between Mithrax and Ido, as well as fleshing out Aramis's more complex history. While I enjoyed the story, I will note that I wish seasonal loot progression wasn't time-gated to the weekly story missions and seasonal triumphs, and instead was more focused on being able to grind attributes out as you please, however. It feels like we're kind of in a sea change of systems. Hopefully, we will see some meaningful work done, not only to our progression systems, but to the core playlist as well in this next season leading up to the Lightfall expansion in February. In the TWAB released on Thursday by Sam Bartley, we already got a glimpse into some of that sea change with the announcement that Bungie will be depreciating and barring the further resource grind of planetary materials. This change is being made to simplify the economies in the game and make them less confusing to players both new and old. These materials will be able to be used through Season 19 to turn in for other materials, and we will see our stalwart planetary vendors for the EDZ and Nessus, Devrim K and Failsafe, getting a light update. They did point to the Throne World and Castellum resource pickups in the thread, so I imagine we'll be seeing all these resources giving XP, Glimmer, and some reputation for their location going forward into Lightfall and beyond. Public events and other economies with planetary resources attached to them will be adjusted, with, I believe, public events being more rewarding for Glimmer. Associate designer Mercules wrote some lengthy notes on the next hotfix coming down the pike this upcoming Tuesday the 18th, addressing several buffs and nerfs to assorted weapons in the sandbox. This hotfix will include nerfs to submachine guns, No Time to Explain, glaives, and Risk Runner, with the last two being for PvP only, and buffs planned for trace rifles, rocket launchers, snipers, and auto rifles. For the full list of notes, please visit the links in the show notes. Among other bits of business were the celebrations of both National Coming Out Day, which happened on October 11th, and the new official social media accounts for Brazil. With National Coming Out Day, they did throw out a post that had with it a transmat effect of a rainbow, which is really kind of cool. By going into your account, you can get that transmat effect for free by typing in R9J79MJ6C. Now we'll get into a conversation with my good friend Pigeon. Last week I gaffed and said we would have a PvE panel conversation, but that's actually planned for next week. So Pidge stepped in for an off-the-cuff convo about some of the season, some builds that he's enjoying, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I did.
3, 2, 1, go. Welcome!
Yay. Hi! Okay, so for this section of the show, I have invited my friend Pigeon, Twitch partner, just general hello guy.
Hello.
Hello. To come in and talk a little bit about like a build that you're enjoying this season. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience in case they don't make it to the end?
Oh, sure. You better listen to the end, by the way.
Yeah, listen to the end. Listen to the end.
I actually feel like I'm underprepared, so I'll give you the spiel.
I am too.
I'll give you the usual spiel. Hi, I'm Pigeon. I am a Destiny 2 streamer from Glasgow, Scotland. Twitch partner, as Dan's already mentioned. I'm aspiring full-time content creator. I love PvE in Destiny especially, and love making friends, I guess.
Long walks on the beach.
Long walks on the beach.
Sangria.
Sangria. See, what another thing I could do is I could also introduce my statistics, which is 20% beard, 50% Scottish, and 69% throne.
Well, we already had the conversation earlier today about how, like, what it takes to be partnered as a Scotsman.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we'll keep those metrics off the
Yeah, we'll keep those off the air, but it has nothing to do with Burger King. We've been talking a bit already. We've been talking about a little bit about our creative journeys in the off mic section. But what have you been enjoying about Destiny so far this season? What have you been enjoying? What have been the pain points for you? And how do you see the rest of the season going?
So for me, this season, and for any season that's involved, but the release of King's Fall Raid has been where I've spent most of my time since it released, which was in the first week, if I remember correctly.
I want to say it was like the second week. Second week? Second week?
First week? Second.
Was it first week?
It was the first week. There was like controversy around it, so yeah.
Oh yeah, because it released on the Friday. Never mind, I remember now. I got in trouble. Continue.
Yeah. That's where I spend most of my time. I'm a big raider in Destiny, so I enjoy getting into running those each week. Get my reset clears, and then usually I'll just run it. If there's people running it, you can count on me. I'll probably hop in and do it. We just had the Grandmasters drop as well, and I forgot how much I love those. Been enjoying grinding those with different people that I game with. As far as like where the season's going, I don't know. We've still got the Halloween event, which is kind of like the last main beat before the season's likely to wind down. So once that's out of the way, we'll kind of see where we're at. Just I'm just trying to find things to do. To be honest, I'm like, I'll do my raids, I'll do my Grandmasters, and then for me, this is like a wee bit of backtrack time in the season for me. I like to go back and go, what did I not get a few seasons ago? Is it still in the game? And I'll kind of put myself, I'll do like a focused farm session to like chase stuff down. So that's kind of where I'm at, where it's going. Hopefully the Halloween event takes what they learned from the summer event and kind of polishes it a bit more. And it could be a really good time, to be honest. It could be the perfect thing that we need to pick up the season.
It's one of those things where like we kind of know the pattern of the season so far, right? Or like how they've run their course when we've been in them. So like we're in week 8. The story is pretty much wrapped up. We had I thought it was like a pretty cool cutscene with Mithrax and Aramis kind of like duking it out. Spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it yet. So we had that. GMs have kind of like breathed a little bit new, like just a little bit more life into the season as a whole. But yeah, I'm kind of feeling that, like, not necessarily burnout, but I'm definitely looking for things to do.
You start coming up with different ideas. You're like, okay, done all this. You've done most of the stuff the season has to offer, so it's like, this is where for me, I'm quite self-orientated. So like I said, chasing specific loot and whatnot. But like I'm not saying that. I'm not like a big triumph chaser or like the seasonal quests. You don't see me checking I don't do checklists basically. I don't I'll do what comes organically as I play. And if there's something that's maybe got a reward that I'm looking for, like the seasonal the helm upgrades just now, I'll do those tasks, which is fine. But ultimately I'm
fits
not
into the loop.
Yeah. But other than that, if it's not something I'm up for chasing as far as like completion factor, I don't really do that. It's kind of just always been my thing.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll knock out all the old triumphs.
Yeah. See, that's actually where I start turning my eyes to next, because like, I feel like there's something, we are not your average player, right? We are people who play video games for fun and entertainment, not only for ourselves but also for a community or an audience that would view us outside of that.
Yes.
So it's getting to the part of the season for me where like it feels like in certain circumstances I am going for loot primarily from master dungeons lately. And I am going for the blueprints from the Wellspring and red border weapons without focusing that grind till I do not like those in activities anymore. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's totally, that the red frame grinds. I think we got too little too late, or too is it too little too late? I don't know what the turn of phrase is, but in order to like at least start to guarantee drops to complete those, they've only really just started kicking in, and that's like 5 or 6 weeks in. Yeah, and the ironic thing for me was I secured my last like seasonal weapon pattern that like a few days before the catch up things were introduced. So that was one of the things I mentioned that like kind of jaded me with the seasonal model.
It also seemed like some of the things were kind of bugged and weren't working as intended for a while. So who knows like what they had to do under the hood in order to get that to work again. with all the spaghetti. I've said this before, my OBS and my StreamerBot setup is kind of the same way, where it's like, oh, if I pull this wire, this breaks. So I empathize with that.
Oh no, yeah, totally. It was a shame. I know exactly what you're talking about. There was like your first weekly completion of Catch Crash was supposed to give you a red frame, and that was broken. And that was like the earliest primary method for like getting your seasonal grind on. And with that not working properly, you had to do it the brute force way. Yeah.
Which like I've been limiting myself. I think I've said this before on other shows, but I've been limiting myself to like 1 dares, 1 wellspring, 1 catch crash, and 1 castellum a day. If I run it. Lately I haven't been running them daily. I've been like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play like Tim or something else in my off time to satiate the urge of variety. But when it comes to grinding those activities, I just do 1 a day, and then if I don't get anything, it's like, okay, I'll try again tomorrow or whenever I get around to it. Is there anything like that you have?
I 100% did that. So, as you know, I stream, and if there's something that's on my to-do list that I'm maybe a bit more fed up of doing, then I tend to do that right at the start of stream. I'll go, right, I'm going to fire up a insert activity here. I'll do 1 or 2 and I'll go, right, that's it. I didn't get what I was looking for. I'll do it the next time I'm on. We'll get to the meat of the stream, which is maybe something that's a bit newer, like say Grandmasters, or if it's round about the reset time, I'll go into those activities. But as far as that, it becomes a very passive thing to grind. So yeah, been there, done that, 100%. I'd say that's the way to do it. You just go, right, cool, I've not quite got what I wanted from that yet, but I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to do a focus farm unless you really want to make it a focus farm like session.
Heck yeah. So is there anything that you're running right now on your character? Like maybe tell the audience like what your main characters are that you run, and maybe like a fun build that you've enjoyed kind of like perfecting over the course of the season for different activities that you're doing.
Sure. I actually have a couple. I'll go with the most recent one. Have you tried Wish Ender since it got buffed?
You know what? I keep seeing that brought up.
Really?
I saw Sabe using it the other day, and I was like, why is he using Wish Ender?
It's insane.
But yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that it not only competes but beats Arbalists in a lot of ways when it comes to that slot, especially for the anti-barrier. But continue your thought.
Okay, so as I said this to Dan earlier off mic, but I'm quite a late adopter for changes in a lot of things, and that includes in game. So we had anti-barrier sniper this season. So a lot of my favorites. I love sniping and stuff in PvE, so I was using those. Arbalest's a bit stale because it's so good at what it does. It's the get it
It's a
done
workhorse, man.
option. Yeah. So I enjoyed maybe using some other stuff and mixing in different exotics. But tonight, for the first time before recording, I tried out Wish Ender and it exceeded my expectations. I actually couldn't believe how well it was. So I'm going to break it down, my experience of that, and then I'll talk about some of the other builds that was going on.
Hell
so
yeah.
I'm a hunter. I'm like a hunter main. I love playing Void Hunter, especially for the invis crutching. And
especially in GMs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know it yourself. If you're playing a hunter and you're invising, you're the one that stays alive while other people get wiped out, and you're like, oh well.
Maybe you do.
And it's so easy. Well, okay. My fire team's dead, and I'm just over here like, yeah, I'm fine because I was invised out of the danger, and then
right.
I can go back and build up the run again by getting the covering the revives.
Yeah.
The thing about Wish Ender, so I was running the Grandmaster Lightblade with a really competent team. But the thing that I found was that if you were in trouble fighting an anti-barrier and he started popping his shield, you can hop around like crazy with the linear accuracy from Wish Ender and pop their shield and hold their stun. So you can find yourself going behind like small bits of cover, hop over, pop their shield. So that was one of the things that I started doing. I was like, well, that anti-barrier's about to put his bubble up. It's fine. I'm in cover. I'll jump up. I'll shoot him. Perfect accuracy. And pop the bubble, hold the stun. So I found that was the first thing I found. The second thing I found was it charges your super like crazy because it hits the target 3 times. There's an entry damage, there's the pass through damage, and then there's the exit damage because the arrows are going right through the target. And that in turn, because it's a primary, it fills up your super bar really fast. Like it actually chunks up the way. It's as if you're getting kills, even though you're just damaging like a target.
Yeah.
So I found that really useful for like damaging. Following that, it's the fact it's got infinite ammo as well. So you've always got it handy. That boss room at the end, you've got loads of anti-barriers to deal with. And it just you're covered for them basically. And you can solo stun with like a perfect draw shot, which is just so cool.
That's a really good shout on that. I was actually finding during the light blade as well, like I was using Outbreak Perfected to chunk at the boss, just like do bits of damage, and my super bar was going up considerably. But I'm gonna need to try out Wish Ender now because that sounds incredible, and you're not scrounging around for special ammo all the time, which is probably the other benefit of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. The other stuff I'm enjoying, everyone probably agreeing this, but Arc Titans are pretty insane right now for PvE. Heart of Inmost Light is a big one for all, fix all builds exotic for Titans, and you can just literally run riot with storm grenades. Again, covering Grandmaster content. All the GMs, mostly like all except for one GM this season has Arc as the modifier for damage, outgoing damage and incoming damage. So you can just annihilate whole rooms as if you're running a normal strike with Arc Titans and Heart Inmost Light. My favourite pairing just now is the Quicksilver Storm, which is the Lightfall pre-order exotic auto. That gun's just so much fun. Like, I love reactive reload exotics, as I call them. And it just fits the bill. I feel like some mad kind of Call of Duty player when I was using it for the first time, because it's like the old noob tubes.
Yeah.
The grenade launcher. Those that don't know, if you play Call of Duty from the Modern Warfare 2 days, like if you had the noob tube launcher, you would start the match, you would run out to the front, and you'd fire a noob tube and get a team wipe like straight away. it was just a thing. Or at least that's how I played the game.
Yeah.
So that's been a big callback for that for me.
Yeah.
So like I rock that in my Titan. I'll have the Heart Inmost Light on. Enjoy the Gambit shotgun that we got this season. It's like a rapid fire arc shotgun. I got a really good roll in mine, so I pair that with the auto rifle. And then I've got an old rocket launcher, the Hotheads. which I secured some god rolls of like last season. So that's kind of like my main arcade build for my Titan. That's probably the one I prefer more than maybe my Hunter sometimes, just because of how powerful it is. But that's where you probably see me run right on. We were saying during the Grandmasters, we were going, this is a Grandmaster, by the way, as we're absolutely like just memeing through
slaying out. Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
That's incredible. What are your thoughts on the Grandmasters so far this season? I find that Lightblade and Glassway are probably like the more considerable challenge this season. But I'm really enjoying that they're bringing back some of the older D1, that they brought back some of the older GMs from D1 this season to kind of round out the list.
Yeah. For me, previously the corrupted strike on Dreaming City, that I used to be dead like scared of it. Like running it, I was like, oh man, this is hard. It's a hard GM and stuff. But at that point in time, I said to myself, I'm going to learn how to do this strike properly, and not have any issues with it. And it got to the point by the end of the season that we were farming it comfortably, maybe 20 minutes or so. Yeah. And I just had it down. I understood how all the things worked in the strike, what to expect. So for Lightblade, a few seasons ago, it came out as a GM for the first time. And at the time, we didn't have a lot of the changes that have come into the game. Like, we had our first 3.0 subclass, but we didn't have the other two. We didn't have resistance the way it works now, with your resistance stat. So that GM was really scary at the time. For me, it was a one and done, pretty much, that the week that they launched. So when this season came around and it was coming back as a GM, I said, I'm going to do the same as I did with that Corrupted Strike. I'm going to go in, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to get comfortable with it, basically. And I can like safely say anytime I've ran it, like I was running it tonight with a couple of friends and we were just chilling like the whole way through. There was no panic. There was no, it didn't feel too oppressive. I know that might be a result of like power creep and whatnot, which is its own separate issue. But at least for now, I'm so much more comfortable with that strike.
Incredible.
Hope that answers your question, by the way.
Yeah, well,
the other rotation stuff, the Destiny 1 strikes, I love Devil's Lair. It's a really fun GM to run.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. Right level of challenge, and it feels rewarding to get through it.
When you're just like, that one, I feel, that has like the most nostalgia for me out of all the strikes, I think, in D1, personally. And so like, having that one in GMs, for me, it's just a delight. Yeah, like you're just kind of like pushing through. That one is probably the one that I know the best out of all of them this season. Although I'm becoming very familiar with Lightblade.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I like the I admire the like, hey, I'm just gonna slam my head against this GM until I learn it like the back of my hand. Approach that you were describing there. What do you think of the loot so far this season?
There's a couple of choices definitely shined so far. The Vault Shot perk that we got this season is just insanity. Like, I do YouTube content and I talk about things like these weapons becoming borderline exotic in nature because of how powerful these perks are. So the sidearm, the scout, they jump at me straight away because they had Vault Shot on them, their primary weapons, and they're just insane. Like, I don't know if you've managed to unlock any of the Vault Shot perks for those particular drops. But when you get to use them, it just enhances the power fantasy. You're like, I am just zapping everything, jolting all over the place. And then you've got it working alongside your subclass, so it just goes insane. Like, the build crafting and potential with these perks, just absolutely insane. I think they prize raid loot as well. Couple of favourites there. The hand cannon, again, it's got incandescent on it, which is last season's like hot perk, pun intended.
Yeah.
I just love that they're. I'm sorry, I had to. I love that they're putting these on weapons now. They're not afraid to just go, wow, like that's insane that's got access to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those that have got it unlocked, I think Touch of Malice been back is really freaking cool.
Yeah.
It holds up in the end game really well, and it's a lot of fun to use. I think the rework for it for Destiny 2 was brilliant as well, like the blight effect, and it gets its catalyst, which just kind of plays down further for that. Lots of hits for me this season as far as the loot goes.
Yeah, I haven't really. So you were asking about like the jolting. I haven't really bought in so heavily into the arc
verbs
weapon or like perk side of it, the arc weapon perk side of it. But it sounds like I need to get on that. So maybe that becomes part of my rounds.
I'll tell you quick.
Leveling up weapons and everything.
That's one of those adopting the new things.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually play with my dad, and
I know this.
You do, I know
this.
So
I played with your dad. I played with you and your dad.
You have, yeah. So I took him out while we were gaming and asked him if he tried out Volt Shot, and he says no. What does that do? And I was just like, stop what you're doing, go into your season pass and claim the sidearm that's on the season pass, because it comes rolled with it. And I explained to him what it does, and then he was like, oh wow, like he was instantly blown away by how the perk worked and stuff. So that kind of surprised me. I was like, I thought he might have at least tried it, or I guess he needed a bit like pointing in the right direction with it, just to say, hey, like this is what you can do with these perks.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely take it for a spin, dude.
Okay, will do. Well, Pidge, I appreciate you coming on and being the guest this week. Where can people find you on the internet, man?
So if you want to check out the live stream, you can go to twitch.tv/pigeon. It's spelled PIJINN. And pretty much the same everywhere. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. You can find me posting content there. Just watch out for the Twitter rambles though.
Yeah. Watch out for the Twitter. You also have a Scientia Illuminata emblem giveaway currently, yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So go to his Twitter and blow that up. I'm sure if
this is a rabbit hole, Dan.
My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are else. You can catch me 3 days a week on Twitch and TikTok, helping Guardians through pinnacle and end-game activities. If you'd like to support the show, remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. This show is also listener-supported, so if you'd like to give a few bucks a month to keep the lights on, head on over to ko-fi.com/Danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/Danfinity. All links are in the notes for the episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.